Yo, what's up everybody, Seamus here, back with another video, and today we're going to be reacting to this ESPN video of Stephen A. Smith talking about the Brooklyn Nets. So let's just get right into it.
If you recall, the first year they got there with Atkinson as the coach, okay? You had Kyrie doing whatever the hell he was doing. He played 20 games. According to numerous sources, he was telling folks, I came here to play with KD. That was why he played the 20 games. I know he had an injury, but he was saying, I came to play with KD. I ain't came to play without him. That played a role in why he only played 20 games his first year. Steve Nash comes on board.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy, not going to lie. I mean, you came to play with KD, but you can't play basketball. At the end of the day, that's your job. So I don't think you should just be able to say, I mean, he was injured, but who knows if that was really an injury or if he was just faking it. You can't play basketball, and you can't just say, yeah, I don't have my star player. It's like saying if your star player gets hurt, just the whole team quits and just stops playing. Like, I don't know. That's where it kind of gets into, like, do superstars have too much leverage and stuff like that? But let's get back into it and see what Stephen A. has to say.
Like you said, before Steve Nash coached the game, he articulated, we don't really need a coach on a damn podcast, publicly. KD echoed that. Coach.
I didn't know that, but I think the value of a good coach goes understated in NBA media. I mean, think about it. There's no championship team without a good coach, or at least a solid coach. Like, no, you can't win a championship with a bad coach, in my opinion. It doesn't matter how good your team is. Because at the end of the day, the coach makes some very vital decisions when it comes to winning basketball games that the players can't control, like minutes and what to do for rotations and certain injuries, what plays to run, how to get around the other team's defensive sets. Coaches, the value of a coach is really undervalued and underappreciated in the NBA. And I think we need to change that, because I mean, look at teams that are just really coached really well, like the Celtics. And then there's teams that are just like garbage at coaching, like the Nets, just fucking ass, just garbage. So
Signed that, okay? They were clearly looking to go someplace where they didn't have to be accountable to anybody. It wasn't the culture. It was the fact that they were able to formulate their own culture, to do what they wanted to do. That appeared to be the priority. Now, I'm going to put that on Kyrie Irving more than KD in this sense. KD wants to ball all day, every day, and he want to go home. That's what KD wants to do. Understand something that's very, very important about Kyrie Irving. Ladies and gentlemen, I got news for you. With him, promoting this film on Amazon and, this anti-Semitic tropes and all of this other stuff, Kyrie literally doesn't mean harm to anybody. That's not his problem. What his problem is that his intellect far exceeds the rest of ours. See, we're all peons. His level of intellect is so far and above the rest of us that we can't possibly comprehend what he is articulating and disseminating. So if you just listen to him, Nick Friedel, this is Kyrie Irving. Just listen to me. I mean, you're asking questions, but you're not comprehending. You're not listening. All you want to do is do something to create clickbait or whatever it was that he was saying to Nick Friedel. We're not absorbing the brilliance of him. And so all of those things played a role in this situation being what it is. Of course, the organization deserves some blame, because if you capitulate and you allow players to come in and completely compromise your culture, you are culpable. Kevin Durant.
that is true. I think the organization, just the Nets in general, do deserve some blame for the Steve Nash situation and really everything that they've just collapsed as a team in general. But it really comes down to player empowerment. That's what it really comes down to, and I think the Nets are a perfect example of what can happen if you give your players too much power. I think it really is.
Is the face of the franchise. He wants to act like he's just another player. Every other player ain't getting over $40 million. Every other player can't average 30 a game. Every other player ain't a superstar. There's a responsibility that comes with that. He doesn't get absolved. But there's no one, respectfully, more accountable than Kyrie Irving, because Kyrie Irving, the decisions that he has made, whether they are mistakes or not, in his eyes or anybody else, whereas everybody else was doing something for the team, every single thing you can point to about Kyrie Irving has been for Kyrie Irving. He is going to do what he wants to do, how he believes it should be done. And he don't give a damn what anybody thinks until...
I think that is the problem. I don't think Kyrie takes basketball professionally anymore. I don't think he takes it as his number one priority anymore. And I think that's why we've seen this kind of unprofessionalism from Kyrie Irving in recent years. I just don't think he takes it. He doesn't take it seriously anymore. He doesn't. He has. It feels like he has other things that he puts first instead of basketball, and I think. I'm not saying your entire life has to revolve around basketball, but this is your job, man. You get paid to do this. I don't care if you don't feel like you want to. At the end of the day, you have this job that everybody else in the world would love to be able to do. Just play basketball and be a millionaire for it. And I'm not saying that you didn't work for it and you didn't earn it. But now that you're here and you sign that contract, to play. You sign that contract to play basketball, to help win championships, and to how unprofessional he is in recent years. I don't think he can do that.
The tsunami comes down upon him. And even then, he will double down. That's what has gone on with the Brooklyn Nets. And that's the challenge anybody that deals with Kyrie Irving has to face, because we're peons and he's far above the rest of us mentally.
Can I say something? That's a great job. Can I say one thing?
Of course, Mad Dog.
The Nets were dead when they fired Kenny Atkinson. Atkinson did not deserve to be fired. He did a hell of a job with that team. Irving and Durant did not, well, especially Irving, they did not want to play for him. And they fired. And once you do that as a general manager and you allow the players to pick who the coaches are, you're dead. And Atkinson goes to Golden State. He's a big coach for Kerr. Jordan loved him. He could have taken a Charlotte job. He almost got the Clipper job. Guy's a hell of a coach. And Irving didn't want to play for him. And Durant joined along, followed the leader. And once that Marks and that organization fired Atkinson, that team was freaking dead, because they don't respect the coaches. And you can't have all these players. They got to be coached. Great players want to be coached, and they don't have a coach there. And that's a major problem with the franchise. Atkinson's dismissal.
I think coaching is the biggest problem with the Nets, and why they've been so underwhelming in their success from what we expected. I think we all came in, when Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant linked up, and then James Harden came along. We were all expecting this undefeatable 82-0 team, and I think that they had potential to do that, but they couldn't reach that potential because basketball is more than just superstars. And I think that's something that kind of gets lost in NBA media nowadays, is that basketball is a lot deeper than that. There's role players, there's coaches assistants, there's people that make these plays and help these teams, and you can't just throw two players out there and tell them to ISO and win a championship. It doesn't work like that. That's not how basketball works. Look at all the teams that win championships. They have a system, they have a way they play, and they have a family in that locker room. And the Nets just don't have that, and that's why no matter what they do, unless they build up, they get a coach. 2, they build up some locker room chemistry. The Nets aren't going to go anywhere. They're not going to go anywhere serious. They may win enough regular season games to make the playoffs, but in those playoffs, they're going to crumble under the pressure because they don't have each other to fall onto. It's just every man for themselves on the Nets. Yeah, we're technically all on the same team, but I'm going to do this all myself. That's how the Nets feel. That's how the Nets think. So they're not going to go anywhere thinking like that.
I just want to push back on this narrative real quick.
that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are the ones that chose Steve Nash. Both these guys have been pretty open about the fact that they're not sure that Steve Nash was their first decision. I think a lot of it comes from the relationship with Sean Marks as well. So I get where everybody starts talking about, well, you know, the franchise has capitulated to every single move. And JJ asked a question to kick this whole thing off about why they didn't make the move sooner. This is Joe Tsai putting his foot down about not trading Kevin Durant, regardless of whatever his demand was. So I think there's been a little bit of middle ground, but I will say not every single thing that KD and Kyrie have wanted to do has just been acquiesced to, guys.
No, that's a valid point. I think the thing they should have capitulated on was this summer. I think they should have capitulated and traded Kevin Durant and traded Kyrie Irving, and basically started over. Get some picks, get some young players. Let's restart. Let's give Steve Nash a fair chance here. I just want to push back on one thing you said, Stephen A., and then I'll let you talk real quick. I'll be super brief with this. When I said that they were attracted to the culture of Brooklyn and the roster, the depth of the young players of Brooklyn, I was talking about in direct opposition of your Knicks. And you can't tell me that they wouldn't have been able to do whatever they wanted to do playing for the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks didn't have the roster depth. They didn't have the culture. We all know that. So that's why they chose the Brooklyn Nets. It is the reason, Stephen A.
And, man, dog, by the way, Frank Vogel got fired after winning a championship in L.A.
Right.
Like, this is what players do.
All right, guys, we're up against it. S.A., take us home quickly, please.
Okay. Well, listen, the bottom line is you brought up the Knicks analogy. You're right about that. I just think the tsunami of the Knicks fan base, we wouldn't have tolerated a whole bunch of stuff from Kyrie that was tolerated in Brooklyn. I think that's important to point out. And in terms of Kevin Durant.
I mean, sure, but the fan base doesn't control the decisions. Like, yeah, you can yell loud and eventually they'll hear you, but maybe they don't want to hear you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and Kyrie Irving, Jay, I'm not saying that they were the ones who chose Steve Nash. Of course, that was Sean Marks, and he deserves culpability here. I'm saying that when you're the star, you know what? You do speak up and let them know what you want, as opposed to going along just to get along because you want what you want on the side. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium.
Jesus, Stephen A. is screaming on that outro. Anyways, getting to my outro. What do you guys think about the Steve Nash situation? What do you guys think about the Nets' future? Comment below. And anyway, that was Seamus, and see you guys in the next video.